Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Let's go. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. All right.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. It's 360 degrees health. So you know the main man on the show is Dr. Michael Mantell. And I tell you, it's going to be an absolutely fantastic show coming your way today. You're going to learn a lot. But I tell you what, before we even get started, Todd, can you get all the platforms locked in at the same time? So let's do it.
Hey, it's your life with Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
Hello. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And wow, we got an absolutely sensational show coming your way today. As you already know, it's Tuesday, 306 degrees. Yeah. And with that being said, we got the one and only Dr. Michael Mantell back. He was on the hot seat last week, but he's back today. How you doing, Dr. Michael?
I'm doing fine, JC. It's great to see you and Michelle. It's always good to be here on Tuesday for 360 Degree Health. We bring on truly the finest, most caring, most compassionate, and most current edge thinkers in healthcare. And of course, today is absolutely for me, an exciting moment because we have two of the greatest.
Absolutely. We got one that's been on before. And I'm excited to find out what she's been doing. And I'm not going to give it away, Michelle. We got another doctor doing absolutely wonderful things. So I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching this, if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform, comments, ask any question that you might have, or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. Michelle, can you get this journey started?
Yes, I will. Audience, today is 360 Health Day, and the title of today's show is called Purpose to the Pain. And Dr. James J.C. Cooley, myself, and Dr. Michael Mantell, who is a rational, emotive, and cognitive behavior coach, they're having a sit-down conversation with Kim Downey. She's a physical therapist and founder of Stand Up for Doctors, and Dr. Todd R. Otten. He's a board-certified family physician, co-founder of our Quadruple Aim, and executive producer of the documentary titled Suck It Up, Buttercup. They're going to discuss trauma present in healthcare, intergenerational trauma, trauma-informed care, and also the documentary titled Suck It Up, Buttercup. Again, Kim Downey, she's a physical therapist, founder of Stand Up for Doctors. She's a three-time cancer survivor and a fierce advocate for physician well-being. As an ambassador for the Dr. Lorna Breen Heroes Foundation, community ambassador for Medicine Forward, she brings deep insight in both the clinical and human sides of medicine. And Todd R. Otten, MD, again, board-certified family physician and co-founder of Our Quadruple Aim, a movement that challenges the status quo in healthcare and promotes patient experience, quality care, lower costs, and provider wellness. He is also the executive producer for a documentary to pull the curtain back on the existing mess in healthcare called Suck It Up, Buttercup, Trust and Betrayal in American Medicine. Please welcome them all to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Great to have you both here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm looking forward to this discussion, and I want to get it started. Dr. Todd, can you tell viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what made you click? You came up with a lot of great things, so let's start off with you.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. And JC, thanks for serving our country. I looked at your background, Master Chief, and then a lieutenant as well. Quite impressive. I was in the Navy myself as a flight surgeon. So I'm not going to read my CV. I thought I wanted to be a trauma surgeon, realized I loved operating. Culture was sadistic. And I was like, oh boy, what did I get myself into? Became a flight surgeon, fortunately, which is primary care. Absolutely loved it. Came back, did my residency. There were really two moments in the following or subsequent 13 years, if you will, that really transformed my career from career 1.0 to career 2.0. I went through horrendous burnout in 2019. To go from a job that you love and be sitting in the backyard in tears, absolutely hating it, is a visceral pain that's really almost hard to convey. And then the administration that I worked for really crossed the line, and I took a stand. And it was at that point I went from the first phase of my career to really the second phase, if you will, and embarked on a journey of finishing the book Ripple of Change, networking, advocacy. And all of a sudden I'm involved in creating a documentary, which I never dreamed I would be doing that. So that's kind of the real short version. So burnout and loss of some colleagues, and frankly, the ubiquitous frustration of patients is really what's driving me.
Fabulous. Let's bring Kim into this. And I want to ask Kim the same kind of question. Where is Kim? Where is she? There you are. Kim, what led you to create Stand Up for Docs? Was there a personal issue for you? Tell us about that.
Sure. So anyone who didn't see the prior episode, I'm a physical therapist by training, and I was working in a local elementary school when I was diagnosed with 3 separate cancers during the pandemic over an 18-month period. And it was just one thing after another. And what I thought would finally be a routine imaging visit, I showed up and my radiologist wasn't there, and I asked where he was, and I was told that he had died a month ago. And I asked what happened, and they said the family didn't know. And in that moment, I knew in my heart that he had taken his own life, and I found out that was true. And this is a challenging time because tomorrow is September 17th is National Physician Suicide Awareness Day. And it's actually horrible that there needs to be such a day, and more than one doctor a day takes their own life. And I felt a calling to support doctors, and that's how so stand up for doctors. When I interview doctors on my Stand Up for Doctors YouTube channel, I'm saying stand up doctors and raise your voice. And when I'm interviewing other people, I'm saying that we need to stand up for doctors. And that's why the 4 is in parentheses.
And Dr. Todd, you've experienced burnout as well. When you think of the phrase physician well-being, what does it mean beyond what's become a buzzword today?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of directions you could go with this. I think when I think of physician well-being from a personal perspective, I think about what fills up your cup. When that cup of compassion or empathy is getting emptied or diluted, what fills that back up? And it's a little bit different for everybody. I think ultimately there are several drivers which is negatively impacting this. The focus on money is a big issue, and greed is playing a horrific role in our landscape. And time. Interactions are compressed and compressed and compressed, and there's more and more to do. And over time, that builds up and really falls into the idea of moral injury, where what you want to do in your heart, what you want to do in that is right or ethical, you can't because of barrier X, Y, and Z. And over time, it's death by 1,000 cuts. And so it's a buzzword, but I think burnout and moral injury definitely coexist for sure.
And from the patient's perspective, we communicate with physicians through my chart and through all these online kinds of things. So you write a question, and then someone else answers it. I'm going to get it to the doctor. The doctor may or may not see it because it's the doctor's assistant that's going to see it, or his or her fellow, and then someone else. It's like, is anyone here to take care of me? And that's why I love the way you both speak about this. So what has happened that we have a culture in healthcare that has so often been suck it up, Buttercup, and what's the cost of that mindset?
Kim, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go
ahead.
first on this one?
Yeah,
All right.
Jump in.
I'll talk about it from maybe the physician's perspective, and then pass it along to Kim, and she can talk about it from the patient's perspective. Michael, even as you're describing that scenario of just the message and how many hands or fingers are touching that along the way, it speaks to the silos that exist in healthcare delivery. Back in the, I've got some gray hairs. When I first started, it was not uncommon that you picked up the phone and called your colleague to collaborate on care. And now a lot of that's been supplanted with electronic messages and what have you, and all these pressures, as I said, constrict these interactions and really negatively impact care. From the physician's perspective, it's just pressure after pressure after pressure. And after a while, people just kind of put their hands up in the air like, what else can I do? I give up. They just see it as a job.
Kim, what do you have to say about that?
I would say I've heard the same thing from patients, that sometimes they throw their hands up and they give up as well. Sometimes trying to get in to see a doctor can take months. But in all the frustrations that doctors are facing, patients don't understand that. They see the frustrations from their perspective, and sometimes they blame the doctor, not understanding the doctor doesn't have nearly as much autonomy as they think. And that's what I try to do, is bridge that gap in understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hold that thought. We got to take a station break, but I tell you, It's heating up already. And if you want to be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to the platform that you're watching us on, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And we'll see you shortly after this.
Your life with Dr. James JC.
Man's point of view.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
It's your life.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, Tuesdays are always great days because we have some of the smartest folks in the medical field, that comes on the show, led by, again, my good friend, Dr. Michael Mantell. So it's always a pleasure. I look forward to Tuesdays. Wow, this conversation has started out extremely well. I'm going to ask the first question based on what Dr. Michael Mantell had wrote. What are some of the common forms of trauma you see in healthcare settings, both among patients and the healthcare clinic? So I think that might be for you, Todd. Kim, either or.
Go ahead, Todd.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to tackle that. I was just going to make sure that we only have an hour because we could go on and on and on about how many types
You're
of
writing a
trauma
book.
are involved in
You're writing
healthcare.
a book.
It's funny you say that, Michael, because I'm actually in the process of book number 2, and there's a bit of a sneak peek in Kim's wonderful book, which I thought I had next to me, but my office looks like a bomb hit it. So
Look at that beautiful book.
anyways, but back to the question, it's everywhere. In the book that I'm working on, I walk through really a 28-hour period of a resident's life and how many different types of trauma are encountered in that one shift. And beyond the physical trauma of patients who are injured or the emotional trauma, there's economic trauma, there is intergenerational trauma, which I can dive into that here in a bit. But it's everywhere. I mean, it is literally everywhere in the healthcare setting. And that doesn't even account for the trauma between clinicians who potentially are having a bad day or not treating one another well. There's a saying, trauma begets trauma, or trauma yields trauma. And it is so, so true. So the list goes really on and on and on. And I think part of it is if we realize that there's an opportunity there, right? There's an opportunity to look out for ourselves a little bit more, self-care, but also to look out for others, and say, hey, how you doing? Are you okay? You might be surprised the answer you get.
Kim, what do you think?
Well, the book that Todd mentioned, and I believe that was one impetus for you having me back on, is when I was on the first time, I was in the process of publishing this collaborative book that's called White Coats, Courageous Hearts, True Stories of Doctors Reclaiming Their Humanity in a System That Challenges It. And there's 15 physicians who were guests on my YouTube channel who each write a chapter. And Todd writes the first physician chapter, which kind of segues our stories. I met him early on LinkedIn. He said he had a feeling would be good friends for a long time. He invited me to join Medicine Forward. And we've each, had some traumas, and there were parallels in our stories and in our journeys. And one thing I could point out that I've learned through all of this is about ACEs scores, adverse childhood experiences scores. And those can be for patients or doctors. And there's a list of, maybe it's like 10 questions. Did you feel safe at home growing up? Think questions like that. And people don't realize, whether you're a doctor, a patient, or a healthcare leader, how childhood trauma impacts how you show up today.
Are doctors really in charge of the healthcare system today?
I'll try not to swear when I answer this question, Michael.
Go ahead.
No, the reality is, in short, no. And perhaps the clearest example of this would be looking at studies longitudinally of the increase in the number of physicians versus the increase in number of administrators. From the late 1970s till I think it was 2010, the percentage of physicians increase was in the single digits, whereas the increase in administrators was 20 times the amount. So if you think about it, as it stands, you've got the physician over here, the patient over here, and in between them, there's roughly 20 people helping make a decision or telling us what to do. It's better in some circumstances, for sure, independent physicians or perhaps direct primary care or concierge medicine. But the reality is, a lot of times what we want to do for a patient, we're handcuffed. And it's very, very frustrating at times.
And what about the notion of, you mentioned earlier, Todd, intergenerational trauma. And I want you to unpack that a little bit, because it's something I don't think our listeners and viewers are familiar with. How do you define intergenerational trauma in a clinical or healthcare context?
Absolutely. So in short, it's passing negative events or traumatic events from one generation to the next. And that absolutely applies in the healthcare setting. In particular, I'll speak from as a physician, obviously, in medical school and residency and fellowship. There's a term, and forgive me for the term, but this is still being used around the country, called pimping. And what that is in the medical community is you basically ask questions to younger clinicians to the point where you're shaming them almost and embarrassing them from a lack of knowledge. And this goes on and on and on and is passed from one generation to the next. Another component to this, I would say, is how I was taught to compartmentalize and then never process trauma. That in and of itself is a tragedy. I mean, literally, I got incredibly proficient at just stuffing things into a box and never dealing with them. That's all well and good until it's not. And when it's not, it can become an absolute disaster. So back to the original question, it's essentially passing very bad, almost destructive behaviors and teaching mechanisms to the next generation. It needs to change. And in many instances it has, for sure, but a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, when I was a kid, and a doctor would come to our home and take care of us and sit down and have a cup of coffee with my mother, and spend time and call him up on the phone. Hey, or this and that. The nurse was in the office and knew that I was terrified of shots and would make sure. I just had a session with a swallow doctor, and he said, I see here that you have an allergy to sulfa. Any other allergies? And he's looking. I said, there is one other one. Does it show there? He said, no. What is it? What is it? I said, pain. You know what this guy said? I'll hold your hand. Oh my goodness. A caring doctor. Wow. Kim, you're in physical therapy. As an extension of healthcare, you take referrals from physicians. Do you see this happening in your field as well?
Well, I'm not currently actively practicing. I left amidst my health challenges. But one thing I can speak to, I've learned a lot because through the last few years and the things that happened to me, I experienced some trauma as well. And I did a lot of reading. And one thing to add to what Todd shared about intergenerational trauma is there's this book, The Body Keeps the Score. And it actually speaks right to how you can physically and even...
Kim, tell us who the author is.
Bessel van der Kolk, MD. And this is a really important work because it actually speaks to how generationally, like, trauma can live in your nervous system and can literally be passed on. So, and it could even be like, say you experienced trauma while you were pregnant, that it could get passed on into the, to the fetus, to the baby. And people might not really believe that, but people who have experienced can feel that deep in their bones. And then another aspect of trauma is there's another great book. It's called There's a Snake on My Head. It's a very short book by Mindy Spiegel, who's a nurse. And speaking to that, which I could give you just a quick example, is my first surgery, I experienced a complication. So my fourth surgery, which maybe I didn't tell you all about, is I was terrified of experiencing a medical complication. So I couldn't really listen. If they were trying to tell me certain things about this surgery, they didn't know unless I told them that I was fearful of experiencing a complication. And that can affect how I show up as a patient and what I hear and what I listen, because literally it's like that there's a literal snake on your head. And doctors need to, if they can ask the right questions to, then they can kind of find these things out, and it's important to know.
We have just a couple of minutes left, but let me ask you, I want to talk about trauma-informed care. It's an expression we hear about. I don't think the audience is familiar with it, but what is trauma-informed care, and how does it help reduce provider burnout or moral injury?
There are lots of layers to this, and I'll try and cram as much in as I can in about 60 seconds.
We'll come back and pick up on it, but go ahead.
Oh, all right, good. Well, and I'm also very much afraid of snakes, which has nothing to do with the question, but it reactivates a pathway in your brain from a fight or flight or freeze response that historically is protective. So I think I'm supposed to pause for a second here. I'm getting some looks.
We got to take a station break, but I want you to know, Todd, that I'm afraid of snakes too.
We're gonna do group therapy.
I tell you, this is so interesting. And if you want to be part of this conversation, whichever platform, E360 Television, Franklin TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, Instagram, and 84 other platforms. All you do is just go to the comments on the platforms that you're watching, so ask them the question that you might.
Let's go. Ain't that one party, y'all? Cooley Show. One party, y'all. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley. One party, y'all. Ain't that one party, y'all? One party, y'all. Dr. James JC Cooley. It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Foundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
There's much truth in a journey that ain't over yet, as all of us journey through life's precious gift of time, just like I have. Hi, I'm Todd Pirrick, the producer of The James Cooley Show. It's your life. And in the new audio version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, you can join James as he shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. This is a must listen for anyone who thinks they're stuck in life or needs to understand that their current situation is not their final destination. Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet is the unfiltered truth to provide hope for the future by challenging you to refuse to become a victim of life's circumstance and dare to become an overcomer, because a bigger, better, and more impactful life awaits you. Get the new audio version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by Dr. James Cooley on Amazon or wherever books are sold.
Check it out. It's your life with Dr. James Cooley.
You know, it's great when you with friends or folks and you're having fun, and you're still able to present points that's going to help others, and also share your experiences. Just like Kim, I'm never going to forget that first interview that we had a few months back. And Todd, I am listening. I'm listening. This is great. I have to ask my producer, Todd, in the studio, what you think about the show so far?
Wow, James, I tell you, what a great show. I'm learning so much. I'm taking notes. I'm down to 1 bag of popcorn. I started off with 3, down to 1. Let's get right back to your guests.
Okay, we can get right back to our guests, but I'm looking at the numbers. And I want to thank, we got a lot of people from all over the world watching this. And so I want to give them a shout out. My marketing and my SEO is watching this. I see a couple of kings, my brothers that are over in Africa watching this.
Amazing.
And Steve Taylor, I see that he's watching this. A lot of folks watching this. And I call him Big Al, veterans and doing great things. But you got so many people watching this show. Let's continue to educate them. So I'm turning it back over to you, Dr. Michelle.
Right.
You have a question?
Yeah. Oh, Michelle, go ahead.
You're on mute. Here I am. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's this is a very interesting conversation. What are the challenges you have seen in the healthcare industry? This is from both for you, Dr. Todd, and also Kim, regarding this topic, purpose to the pain. What are the challenges you see about maybe the healthcare industry really understanding what is truly going on?
I'll chime in. I think because there was a bit of a question before, what are some of the unseen components of trauma? And I think there's a couple things from a cultural perspective that really perpetuate these issues. One is a culture of fear. If you're not in healthcare, it's hard to even believe that we're talking about a culture of fear, but the retaliatory things that occur or scapegoating to individuals that make a mistake is unreal. And you'll have nurses and physicians and other people literally at their jobs scared that they're going to get fired or lose their income or whatever. That's the antithesis of what we want for those trying to heal others, right? And there's also a culture of silence, that when bad things happen, people just shut their mouth and keep going. I heard a story of a physician who they were rounding, which is talking about patients and providing care on the ward. And somebody came up that said, physician so-and-so just jumped off the roof. And he kind of gave a look and then just kept rounding. That's insane. That's completely insane. And so the culture of fear and culture of silence are two huge problems that exist currently.
Wow.
It's hard to believe that these are the doctors that we go to as patients to take care of us. They're not, I like to say when physicians became providers, it all went downhill. They're there to take care of us. Given that sense, I want to go back to this trauma-informed care concept. Let's define it better. What are the key principles of trauma-informed care, and how do they apply in a busy clinical setting?
Sure. So trauma-informed care is a holistic approach that really appreciates that trauma is indeed everywhere and accounts for a safe environment for healing ultimately. I was doing a little bit of reading about this morning and just kind of refreshing my memory on a couple things. And I came across a new values and principles set from, and I don't want to screw this up because I had a bit of a headache, Institute on Trauma and Trauma-Informed Care. And they really present 5 key elements: safety, trustworthiness, choice, collaboration, and empowerment. And so when you see somebody, and you're trying to help them, you shouldn't be asking what's wrong with you, rather what happened to you. What happened to you in the past that is now affecting you today. So hopefully that answers the question, gives a couple of bit of principles in there, but I don't want to keep just being the only one talking either. So
Kim, anything that you can see from the perspective of your work and your experience as a patient and as a provider?
Well, just to highlight the things that Todd said, trauma-informed care, like safety, is so important. And you have to know if you are going to talk to somebody, that it is a safe space and that they aren't going to share, your private information, and that you can really trust them. So safety and trust truly is at the core of that. And then also empowering, because doctors haven't felt empowered. They feel like they're just cogs in a wheel, and we need to help them understand, again, as Todd said, the choices that they do have, and that they can make for themselves.
I was reading an article this morning in preparation for this about the role that AI, artificial intelligence, is playing in terms of demeaning the role of doctors. The patient comes in with 17 pages of data. And doctor, well, I was told this, I read this, well, I heard this, or someone said this. What about that? Is that part of the burnout or injury experience for physicians?
It can be, but I think the clinicians, physicians, whatever the case may be, that are at the top of their game respect that an empowered patient can be an incredibly valuable part of the process. Personally, when I was seeing patients full time, I used to say, hey, this is a team game. It's not just me telling you what to do. Like, you can walk out the door and say, well, Dr. Otten's crazy. I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm just going to keep eating donuts and my diabetes is going to be fine. Well, maybe not so much, right? The reality is, if you can get the two people on the same page, it can be magical. So that information for sure can be overwhelming, but I also think it can be an incredibly valuable tool. I'll give you an example. Recently, I was seeing a former patient trying to figure out a particular problem, and it wasn't immediately obvious as to what the issue was. I think there was a couple things that were potential. And so I generated a differential diagnosis, which is a list of possibilities, gave it to the wife, gave my cell phone number and said, hey, dig into some of this a little bit and see what you get. They came back with an injection that he had been getting, which potentially was the causative or the problem rather. Had I not empowered, the patient and his wife to help out, I don't know that we would have got there. So it's like everything else. There's a yin and a yang with this stuff.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm sure that as patients, Kim, you and I can listen to that and really appreciate the physician who says, let's do this. Let's look at this together. I don't have all the answers. And wow, that's something that we really appreciate hearing, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And amidst my health challenges, I switched primary care doctors, and there were a lot of things going on at that time. And I asked my new doctor a question, and he said, I don't know the answer to that. But that made me like him even more, that he was willing to it. And he says, this is going to be like peeling the layers of an onion. And that helped me to really trust him. And he knew the next right step to figure it out. And kind of what Todd did is a spinoff of what you call motivational interviewing. And the name is a misnomer because you aren't trying to motivate the patient. It's asking them, I've had a couple of people on my YouTube channel where they spoke to motivational interviewing and say, like, you want a patient to take their diabetes medication and they aren't. You ask, what would make or why, what would make this important to you, like things like that, or just explain to them that it's like pouring pancake syrup, on pancakes. And if you wait until you already have the symptoms, then that can be too late. And once you explain that to the patient, then they're on board.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to piggyback on that. What are the barriers to that patient getting the medication? Is it a financial issue? Is it an insurance issue? Do they not have transportation to the pharmacy? The list can go on and on and on. But if you don't ask those questions and you're just throwing more drugs at people and they're not taking any of them, it's pointless, right?
Right.
Sorry, Michael, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
One of the questions I ask my clients and their motivational interviewing is, okay, let's suppose you don't change. Or you don't start taking the medication, or you don't apply this approach. What do you see happening down the road? And the client or patient says, well, I don't know. I guess I don't see anything good. What does that lead you to think? The idea is we're asking questions. We're not telling.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get into the role that organizational leadership plays in embedding trauma-informed practices throughout the healthcare system. Where do the people at the top of the organization, the executives, so to speak, where do they play a role? In so many areas, we see this kind of work being done to help the employee. Healthcare needs to do a better job. We'll come back and pick up on that.
We got to take a station break right now. But that is an extremely important question. So we will come back and we will talk about that. I tell you, if you're not listening to it, if you're not coming in, and you're missing out. This is a great topic, and we got to do this again. But I tell you what, we got to finish up this one. So if you want to be part of the conversation, I already told you, go to the platform that you're on. Comments, ask any question, or pick up the phone, dial 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. We'll see you shortly.
Your life.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited, 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs, built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible, integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are, grow in faith, and build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply today and be among the global leaders.
Using humor.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
The James Cooley Show. It's your life. That's right.
Dr. Mike, I don't see your hands lift.
Oh, yes. My feet are moving. But I've got shorts on, so I can't.
Hey, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. I'm telling you, this is an absolutely fantastic show. And Dr. Mike, I am serious. I want to do this again with this panel, maybe add another person. But I want to do that probably in October or November because they are sharing so much information, and I think our viewers and our listeners are really, really enjoying this. So
I think you're right. I think we've got some wonderful opportunities to impact the healthcare system, meaning what's good for the patient, What's good for the doctor, it stands equal. What's good for one is good for the other. And that leads me to asking about the changes that you actually, what one small practical change do you suggest the provider, the clinician, the physician make today practicing trauma-informed care? Is there one thing you recommend?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I've experienced this recently, you know, in hindsight, I think I was doing a little bit of trauma-informed care and not necessarily even realizing it, to be honest with you. When I went through school, we didn't even talk about this stuff. And I had asked a young man recently with some psychiatric illnesses, including schizophrenia. I said to him, I said, have you ever experienced any trauma? And it was just like all the air went out of the room. And he looked at me and goes, no one's ever asked me that. And there was this immediate sense of trust and safety. You know, I think it really could transform a cold, sterile environment to a very warm and receptive one. I think that simple question could go a long way.
Kim, can you add to that? Was there a small practical change that you can see? Let's do this one thing, and wow.
Well, I'd say the related to that is asking the question as Todd did, but also listening to understand. Because like literally, because the doctors have the computer in the EMR, I literally had one doctor amidst everything that was going on, and he was in there, I don't know, say 10 minutes, and he was pretty much on the computer the whole time. And I actually almost wanted to make a joke because Todd and I are on or Todd used to be on LinkedIn a lot, and I was almost going to joke with him and ask if he was on LinkedIn, but I didn't think he'd appreciate it. But if you're, you know, we have to change that because if you're down with your head in the computer, you're not truly listening. It's impossible to really listen to the patient.
Right. One heart has to connect to another heart for a connection, for communication to take place. Todd, that's it. That's exactly it. And that's your book. That's your book, Kim. So Todd, what moment in the documentary, Suck It Up, Buttercup, a phrase we keep playing with, but what moment in making Suck It Up, Buttercup hit you the hardest? When you realize this story has got to be told?
You know, Michael, when you're going through interviews, sometimes it's almost surreal, and you'll say things and you'll go back and watch and be like, oh, did I say that? Like, you know, that kind of thing. And I had been interviewed once in New York City for the documentary, and then was interviewed a second time in DC. And when I went back and watched that, they had asked me the question of, how many of your colleagues do you know have died by suicide? And I could barely keep it together when I answered the question. The answer is 4. Friend from medical school, a fellow in residency, one of my partners in the junior physician. When I saw myself saying those words, I was like, we have to do this. And actually, it came to fruition. I was presenting to a large academy's board who is considering supporting the project. And they said, well, what's your budget and how close are you? And are you going to get there? And so on. So I answered all these questions, and I finished with, you know, hey, forgive me, I was in the Navy, but come hell or high water, I am going to see this project to the finish line. And I think that actually sealed the deal for them coming on board, which has been huge.
And I know, Kim, you talked about tomorrow. What's the title of the day?
National Physician Suicide Awareness Day. And the fact that there actually is a National Physician Suicide Awareness Day is horrible, but we're grateful that there is at least a day and that people are starting to talk about it.
Everyone listening, everyone watching, call your doctor, send a note, and just say, thank you for taking care of me. Do you understand what that will do to the heart of a physician and to her or his family? Tomorrow's the day to do that. Maybe we're preventing one person from saying it's not worth it anymore. My book is The Link is What You Think. And we want to help people think in a healthier way. So if every clinic tomorrow became trauma-informed, what would it actually look and feel like for patients walking through the door? What would be different? from the patient's perspective.
Hey, Dr. Mike.
Yes, sir.
We got about 2 minutes to do the link is what you
Oh.
think. So that's mandatory every show. So what are we talking about today, Dr. Mike?
Today, okay, so my book is called The Link is What You Think. And I'm the author of the original Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. My books are always designed to help people live better, disturb themselves less. So here are 5 things. I opened to page 204. This is called Relax. Relax and think about all the beauty that's around you right now. Feel better? Relax and think about this. You do enough. You are enough, and you have enough. Feel better? Relax and think about the fact that where you are right now, with all that you have and all that you don't have, you can do so much to help others. Feel better? Relax and think about all the people that have come into your life as blessings and those who've served as lessons. Feel better? And last, relax and think about how to stop undervaluing what you are and overvaluing what you aren't. Feel better? Remember, the real link is what you think. And if these 5 points sparked even one way to live your life better, then mission accomplished. Thanks for reminding me to do that.
You know, we're almost out of time. However, I tell you that the link is what you think. And we're going to close the radio portion off, but I want you guys to stay on because we're still going to be live for at least another 2 minutes, if that's okay with you all. So I'd like to thank my producer, Todd, in San Diego and also Dallas. And he's going to close this out, but stick around because we got like 2-3 more minutes.
Cooley. That's right. It's your life. Dr. James, JC Cooley. That's right.
Well, I tell you what, we still here. We got about 2.5 minutes, and the link is what you think. Dr. Todd, Kim, you both are fantastic. I was serious about having you guys back on the show if your schedule permits, and we can talk about more.
I have so many more questions, and you're right, JC. They have so many more answers, and I think our audience will leave today and it's with a sense of well-being in their heart, knowing healthcare is trying to move the needle, to build more care, a greater sense of that. So I think this was wonderful.
I think it was wonderful. And Dr. Todd, so how long were you in the Navy? Did you do 20?
No, I didn't. I was active for 5, a total of 12 if you count all my time in medical school and inactive reserves and things of that nature. So finished 03 by the end.
Oh, so you finished?
Oh no, 04. Sorry, 04. Jeez, oh Pete.
Well, actually, I finished 04 as well.
Lieutenant Commander.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I switched over when I was E8, and then I got promoted to E9 doing it because you have 3 years to choose. Then I picked up 04, and some things happened for medical for me. So they decided to retire me as 03E, but when I had hit a certain time, they boosted me back up to 04. So, but that's great. And I tell you what, this is just fantastic. If Dr. Mike, if we can do it, we can do it.
We can do it. It's up to Kim and Todd.
Well, I'll tell you what, between the two of us, we're connected to quite a few physicians out there, including what I would say are some world experts on trauma and trauma-informed care who have been involved with the documentary as well.
So I had to end this right now because I only got 20 seconds, babe. The YouTube get me. It's your life. great time. Talk to you later. Bye.